Alright, we're back. I think. I hope everything is going fine on stream. Alright, so we left off next to this unpleasant fucker. And now we need to figure out where to go next. And I think I have an inkling of an idea. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I did turn the volume down a bit, so if you can't hear the music at all, please let me know. I'll turn it up a little. Or if it's fine, don't say anything. So, by my estimation, our next order of business should be to find a way to break all of those slightly loose but not quite breakable floors. There are a surprising number of them. To do that, we need to head back to the City of Tears, which we have not yet fully explored. It's a pretty big area. Fastest way to get here is probably just going through the Forbidden Crossroads, since it's not a very dangerous area as I get clocked by a thing. Double tap. Let's see. Okay, there is not really much point either way of taking the train. Well, actually, the train is slightly faster. I'll go ahead and take the Stagway. Oh, always rest on the bench. Can't forget that. This is a much more dangerous area than the Hollow Crossroads, so... Forgotten Crossroads. For whatever reason, I have trouble with names in this game. By the way, I keep fluctuating between, like, having some viewers and having 0 viewers, so if you're there, could you sound off real quick so I know that I'm streaming to somebody? Hello, okay. It's just Twitch being weird then. Unheard of, I know. Oh, I actually slightly overshot where I wanted to go. I'm a fool. The game is fairly good about cutting out needless travel time, but there are definitely parts where you just kind of need to schlep for a while. Our next destination lies in the upper reaches of the City of Tears. This is a new type of enemy. I believe he's called a soul grub or something. Either way, he's a magic teleporting guy that shoots out projectiles and has a rotating shield. They're pretty difficult for this point in the game, but they're not insurmountable because they don't have that much health. Alright, I'm curious. I need to find out what these are called. To the journal! Soul Twister. Okay. Very twisted. This is the Soul Sanctum, which I'm pretty sure has been used in a lot of other games. One of the interesting features of this area is that there's just soul energy just lying collected in like vials and stuff. There's also those guys, which are sort of funny looking. This area is quite vertically inclined. Regrettably, that lever doesn't open the gate, so we'll need to find a different way. Now, the Soul Twisters were not a one-off enemy. More will spawn here. And they can be pretty difficult, especially if they spawn more than one at a time, or you have to deal with the little slimy guys. I don't actually remember my way around this area very well. Whoops. I do know enough that I didn't want to do that. This game loves to hide stuff in elevator shafts. This way is a no-go. If only we were just a little bit more vertically inclined, we could get up there, but I think the door is locked anyway. We'll come back. Wait, is that a broken wall piece? It looked broken to me. Gotcha. I wonder what Cornifer was doing here. Sort of strange that I didn't run into him. I don't remember that. I guess this is like a shortcut? Weird. Oh wait, no. This is the City of Tears. Okay. That's not for the Soul Sanctum. I got confused for a minute. As I am wont to do, my sense of direction is not particularly great. So anyway, case in point, this game loves to hide stuff in elevator shafts, so you have to be watchful for side paths and stuff as you go up and down. This guy again, because I area transitioned, I think. The biggest difficulty is when they get in positions that are vertically unfavorable, like right above you. You don't have very many ranged options that way. There's some lore in this area because it's spooky and magical, I guess. Sometimes their teleport reactions are pretty fast, so projectiles are maybe not the best idea to use against the Soul Twisters. That opened the door. This guy is a sort of mini-boss. He uses both swordplay and sorcery. He's not hugely difficult, but he can move unpredictably. And he doesn't give you much of a chance to heal. However, he doesn't have that much health, if I recall correctly, so I think just killing him here is probably my best play, unless I get in super trouble. I'm in super trouble. That accomplished nothing! Okay, we're fine. Oh, and he was one hit from death anyway. Sometimes I wish this game had health bars. Either way, he's dead. We don't have to deal with him again. There are still plenty of Soul Twisters around, though, and this is not a good place to be fighting. You can sort of use the platforms and stuff for cover, but also this really limits how you can actually get at him, so... And they have slight homing, too. This is a pretty difficult fight. Close. I didn't have very much health from the previous fight. Oh, and there's another one. Probably be better to fight him up here if I could. Oh shit, I died. Rest in peace, me. Well, at least we're not very far away. As always, I'm very good at video games. Now, hopefully we can get back there and actually open up the other shortcut. I think I'm just going to ignore this guy. Or maybe this is foolish. I think I went the wrong way entirely because I'm great. Alright, it's fine. We got a whole lot of Geo for that. It's fine. Ugh. I don't understand why the elevators have to have spikes on them. That feels bad. Interesting thing to note is that you don't get any soul from, whatchamacallit, hitting your dark doppelganger corpse thing. It's the slight homing properties on the bolts that he fires that make these guys kind of difficult. If they were just like one-to-one projectiles that didn't curve in midair, they'd be much easier. But they can sort of actually get around cover that you use. See, that one sort of followed me down. It's not perfect, so it's not like you're always going to get hit, but it is definitely something that makes them harder than they could be. Okay, that opens up that. Shortcuts. Getting hit because I overestimated my own knockback. Now, the bright side about this place is that you're rarely hurting for soul, because there's so much of it just sort of littered around the place, being the soul sanctum and all. The little guys that wander around on the ground are good sources, as well as just the stuff that's in the containers. I didn't actually want to break that right at that juncture, but a sorcerer was in the way. That looks like something, but I guess it's not. There we go. Those glass panes look suspicious. Shit. There's always one if you don't want one. Come on, come on. This is where the game does start to ramp up in difficulty quite a bit. The Soul Twisters, in particular, are kind of a difficulty spike that you might not be expecting. Shortcut. Wonderful. Those are spikes. Don't step on those. I've made that mistake before. This is the Soul Master. He kinda sucks. He is basically a boss version of the Soul Twisters. He has a lot of similar attacks. He's also the master of fake outs. That's one of the things that makes this guy really hard. Or it can, anyway. If you hit him enough, he sort of deflates, which is kind of funny. I would say that the biggest difficulty with this fight is finding opportunities to safely hit him. This is a good one. You can just sort of get a couple free hits in while he goes past you. When he fires the single bolts, that's an okay time too. You can sort of fool them. Their homing is better than the ones of the regular Soul Twisters, but they're still not perfect, so you can actually sort of fool them into going places that you're not going to be by jumping early. And that's the Soul Master. It's a very elaborate death sequence. He drops a thing. Surprise! He's not dead. Like I said, master of fake outs. The second phase of the fight can be super annoying. Because you're not expecting it. It's like any other boss would have fucking died after that. And if you're going into this with low health, it can be very difficult because you're still discombobulated as hell. Fortunately, he doesn't have very much health in this phase, and once you survive his initial barrage of dives, he doesn't have a lot going for him. Now we finally get the thing that he drops, because we can see his corpse, and that means he's dead. Desolate Dive is our reward. This is basically his signature move. You tap B while holding down, and you do a ground pound. And it takes a little bit of soul, but it does hella damage and it opens up some of those floors. Soul Master can really stonewall you the first time you play this game, I think. It's a difficult fight to learn, because finding opportunities to safely heal is difficult. Money, money, money. And he can rapidly pile on damage because he likes to put multiple projectiles on screen at once. And of course the fake outs with the dives and the fake out with actually beating him can totally take you off guard. It's very mean, actually. This is how we get through those glass panes and other structurally unsound parts of the flooring. Whoops, I missed that a little. For exploration here, we get a Hallow Nest seal. Stop it. And this is also a fairly unique looking soul totem that will give you a lot of soul when you smack it. This is where I came from. I do remember actually getting a little bit lost here the first time I came through, so bear with me. I'll find the exit eventually. It's fine. Don't worry. Oh, there's a little buggy over there. I completely forgot about that. I can fly! There are some fairly grim implications as to the condition of this place. But it can be difficult to sort of notice that your first time through, because it's all so cute. The buggies are cute. Shit. Stop! Alright. Now we can go down here without necessarily falling all the way down, and hooray! We rescued our friend. I still need to find the way out, though. Are there any bad floors here? No, doesn't look like it. Ah, here we are. Little tunnel beneath where we fought the Soul Master, whose corpse has moved! Don't mess with magic. It's scary. They probably give you so many of those enemies here because they expect you to use a lot of soul to actually get through these barricades. And we're back to where we fought the Swordy Bug. I have really good names for the enemies that I can't remember offhand. That should mostly do it for now for the Soul Sanctum, but we got an important tool that opens up quite a few areas for our exploration purposes. Alright, map updated. We now have a pretty complete map of the Soul Sanctum. Where we go next is sort of, as usual, kind of nebulous. While I am here, I do want to visit the trinket seller. Trinket buyer, I guess, actually. We have some trinkets that are of pretty considerable worth. So I think, in my opinion, it would be good to go visit him while we're in the area. Then we can go ahead and use our newfound money to buy some shit.
Velmi Ardred.
The King's Idol in particular sells for a lot.
Velmi Ardred. Velmi Ardred.
Opal.
Velmi Ardred.
Garchael Liasoku.
Velmi Ardred.
This guy's sort of an asshole, but he pays good money for this shit.
Helmadelka.
Now we just need to get back to a stag station. Unfortunately, this guy's kinda out of the way. So, I try to make it a point to visit him whenever I'm in the area, just so I don't have to make the trek later. I thought I was out of range of that. I missed this the first time. This is a rancid egg. Rancid eggs are not very useful in my opinion, but they have a use case that's not totally out of the question, so your mileage may vary. It's not like it hurts to pick them up. I just tend to forget because they're not very interesting. I guess it can save some time. Basically, you trade them into a certain NPC to get all of your money and soul meter back when you die, without actually having to go and pick it up. I'm lost again. I'm just so bad at finding my way in this game. I usually don't have this big of a problem in, like, Dark Souls. I guess I'm just better at navigating 3-dimensional spaces than 2-dimensional spaces. Or maybe it's just that, like, the worlds of Dark Souls are not nearly as expansive as this one. Alright, we're almost at the stag station. After we pick up some stuff in Dirtmouth, we can move on to the next area, since we have the new Desolate Dive, which is a very, very evocative name for what is basically just a ground pound. Gathering Swarm is really good. I barely used it all in my first playthrough, and I'm regretting that now. I am getting a lot more money from these guys than I usually would, because I would not take the time to go and find the geo that dropped in different places. A lot of the time it would just land on the parapet spikes, and that's basically lost, unless you have Gathering Swarm. Get out of my way! Oh shit, what am I doing? This is why I spend most of my time with the map open. I forgot there's an entirely other level I needed to get to. Alright, back to dirt now. Then I think I'll just hop right down into the Forgotten Crossroads, because where I want to go next is actually fairly nearby.
오, 지터리. 오도란 나도. 아까라 엠토.
I like talking to the Elder Bug. He has some fairly interesting things to say about the world.
Ecobus? Oh, come on, yeah?
I'm talking to some of the shopkeepers on request from Hitomi, so...
Zuma Concon. Divolem, Mas,
Alright, we seem to have exhausted what he has to say.
Patamas Geo.
Alright, time to buy some stuff. Stalwart Shell. Simple Key. Mask Shard.
Patamas Geo.
And a Vessel Fragment. We have not found very many of these thus far.
Patamas Geo.
And we basically bought him out of stuff, except for rancid eggs, which he will always sell, because those are sort of, those are more of a consumable than an upgrade.
Bapanada. Mobadis. Opum Sanjo. Opum Sanjo.
Isilda's nice. I like her. I also like Cornifer. I like most of the characters in this game, to be perfectly honest with you. We have a little extra geo left. We could go visit Salubra. No, that seems like a good idea while we're in the area. It won't take that long. My stream. I can do what I want. That's the wrong way. For now. We will be visiting later. The enemies in the crossroads don't really give enough geo anymore to be worth going out of my way to fight. In my opinion, anyway. I think it could be successfully argued that any amount of geo for a trivial amount of effort is worth it, but, I don't really see it. Aside from like the one that we picked up in the fungal waste, Salubra is also basically the only source of charm slots.
Mariba usso. Mariba usso. Petra Misubo. Petra Misubo.
Silver has a little bit of advice about how charms work, both warning you against equipping too many at once, and advising that some charms have special combinations. Alright. Charm notches take priority, I think. I'll also pick up the Shaman Stone. And since we have the money, I'll pick up Steady Body as well. And, hell, Lifeblood Heart. It'll come in handy later. And that's all we can afford for now. But we are starting to clear out the shops, slowly but surely. When I first played, I thought that the crest that you got from the False Knight actually activated the tram. No such luck. Oh, there are spikes there. We will find something eventually that will activate the tramway. But it's hidden quite a bit better than the city crest was, because it's technically optional, I believe. But Milo's not doing too well. Unfortunately, I don't think there's anything we can do for her. This disgusting looking thing is something that will drop a rancid egg. Beats paying 60 geo, I guess. Anyway, this is one way into the Crystal Peak, which is a mining area, and quite visually distinct from a lot of the areas that we visited before. Oh shit, I'm too poor. I bought too many charms. One sec, I gotta farm some geo. Oh no. How mortifying. A lot of the enemies in Crystal Peak are fairly well armored and tend to have specific weak spots. Or specific weaknesses. The big crawlers, for instance, tend to be weak on their faces. Alright, we scrounged up enough to pay the toll. Now, we had access to this particular room before. just couldn't do much with it because it was all dark. We could have come here technically as soon as we got the Lumafly lantern. And we could have gotten in by means of that hidden passage. So you don't necessarily need the Desolate Dive to get in here. Due to its piercing properties, magic will work on behind against those guys, though it's, as you can see, not very efficient. Now, unfortunately, these minor bugs, unlike our friend Mila, are hostile. They will use their pickaxes to attack, and they can sometimes throw them. They're also a little bit tougher than the usual husk bug. You don't technically need it, but the Lumafly lantern is very helpful in this area because there are a couple of dark areas like this that can be quite difficult to navigate without. These platforms will trigger when you step on them, and they will go spiky side up. They will eventually revert. You have to be quick when you're traversing them. Those flying enemies spit out crystals that leave behind patches of sharp spikies. It can be quite difficult to get around while they're still alive because they tend to really, as I just demonstrated, block off where you can safely walk. Now, as usual, my first... Oh, there was a bug there. One sec. Backtracking. My first order of business in a new area is usually to try and find Cornifer. Oh, I can't get past the gate. Because, as I've mentioned many times, I really need a map to actually find my way around here. Unfortunately, I don't quite remember where Cornifer is. I'm sure I'll find him eventually. Lots of buggies hidden behind switches and gates, it seems. Actually, hold on, did I do that right? Okay, yeah, the lever is behind. These guys are kind of annoying. You can only kill them with Vengeful Spirit. Or probably some other magic too, but mostly just Vengeful Spirit. I didn't know that my first time going through, and I didn't actually think to try magic on them, which made these sections quite a bit more difficult. Even just taking out a few can make it a lot easier to get around here, so that the beams don't intersect and make your life miserable. It can be a little soul intensive to kill them all. Ah, there's the paper trail. Come on. Be nice. If you don't have the soul to kill them, which is likely because there's a lot of them, you can just sort of sneak by when their beams aren't going.
Mejor no escuché.
Fortunately, we found enough geo between here and the toll booth to afford the map.
Chocolate, correct this.
For whatever reason, Cornifer has set up shop near a bottomless crystal abyss. Though he does offer some words of warning about how sharp the crystals can be. next order of business is to find a bench. Oh, wait a minute. That's a bad place. I'm not going in there just yet. I should, at very least, fill up my health first. That's a useful item, the shopkeeper's key. We can give that to Sly, which will open up some new items for us to buy, all of which are terribly overpriced, but still useful. Sly kinda sucks, but I like him. Gotta make a living, I guess. Oh, and here's Quirrell again.
Manamato Churo namen. Goa, Nudo Ilamak. Na Minobis.
As usual, he has some thoughts of his own. That looks an awful lot like a bench to me. I could have sworn it was, but I guess not. There are a number of areas at the top of the Crystal Peaks where you can't really progress without some sort of way to increase your height while you're jumping. Ow. Got another Wanderer's Journal for our troubles. That was probably worth the 250 gold. Geo, sorry. Don't think gold exists in this world. Or if it is, it's certainly not a currency. The Crystal Peaks can be a little bit confusing to navigate, especially since I haven't found a dang bench yet. I want to fill in my map. It usually behooves you to slide down the walls down here, so you don't accidentally fall into something. The shafts are quite long. Looks like we open up a shortcut of sorts. I remember the bosses and mechanics of this game very well. Not so much the actual map, which is arguably more important. Oh well, that's how I always am in games like this. I can play a Castlevania game like 3 times and still not remember where everything is. This area has spooshers. The best way to deal with these is to simply dash by. You can also walk, of course, but it's a little riskier. Unfortunately, you can sort of duck your head in while you're trying to get close and get clobbered that way. And on these, you have to be very quick on the draw. You ideally want to start dashing like right as they go up. This can be a real drain on your health if you're not careful. Here, dashing is actually not recommended. You just sort of walk through. I'm a Yoshi Story veteran, so crushers like that don't get to me very much. Alright, now we're back where we first went up to find Cornifer. Alright, I believe there's no more avoiding it. I have to go to the scary place. Unfortunately for us, this guy is hogging the dang bench. The Crystal Guardian is annoying as hell and can be very difficult. He attacks with beams, which is very unusual for an enemy in this game. They can also be hard to dodge, because he likes to fire a lot of beams at once. To add insult to injury, you can't sit on the bench during this fight. He's a little bit like the Soul Master in that you have a better time if you can sort of lead where he shoots, and then just exploit the opening that you create that way. But he gets faster as the fight goes on, so it's slightly difficult. It seems we haven't seen the last of him, though. That's fine. We got the bench. That's what's important. We could have come in here from more or less any direction, but we would have had to fight the guy either way, so... Just something to take note of, I guess. Wall jumping, of course, is very important in this area, because I'm pretty sure you couldn't get to it without having it. Maybe, if you were extremely clever. Probably because they're kind of rich from mining, the enemies here tend to drop a lot of geo, which is good for us since we just spent all of ours. The timing on these crushers can be a little bit harsh. And of course so can the hitboxes. It's difficult to find a good compromise between getting close enough to them that your dash goes through alright, and not getting squished. This one's kind of annoying because you can't just use your dash. You have to jump first. It can trick you up a little. The conveyor belt is not fast enough to carry you on its own, so dashing is still recommended. The trouble comes not from just not overshooting and getting smooshed by subsequent crushers. We get a little bit more geo for our troubles. It's not really worth the obstacle course, because you have to go through half of it again. Save me! Oh, shit. That can happen. You have to time it fairly precisely or you'll just sort of bounce off the side. That's one grub that we found earlier saved. Now I gotta find some things to hit before I die. I probably should have looked at my charm equipment after I visited Salubra. Well, next time we get to a bench, I guess. This is kind of where those guys get extremely dangerous because they leave you crystal patches on very sparse footing. Oh, come on. I was on that wall. Don't be mean. Fortunately, they are a bit passive, so if you're quick, you can kill them before they shoot out a crystal. I rather like this area, to be honest. Ugh, I can't make it. It's quite a bit different from what you're used to. Hello? We're in a different area entirely now. Cursed are those who turn against the king. It seems that this is another instance of the tramway. Regrettably, we don't have a pass, so it seems we're stuck in this area for now. And what a dreary area it is. It seems that we have no choice but to inspect this, for good or ill. These are the three dreamers, which have sort of become the objective of the game. We need to get rid of them to undo the seal on the Temple of the Black Egg. I think Cornifer actually just does not appear in this area. I think you always have to get his little, get his map from the shop in Dirtmouth. Because I missed him here too. We are in a much stranger place now. With very convenient geography. Actually, hold on a sec. Did I miss something? No, there's not actually flora down there.
Moku Batese.
This is a fairly important upgrade. We get the Dream Nail. The Dream Nail has some interesting functions. So now we have a new subquest, powering up the Dream Nail. Evidently, since it's been locked away in the dream world, it's lost some of its power. This is the first use for it, and it's kind of the lamest one. If you use it on one of those goofy-looking trees, they spawn little orbs of essence. This is by far the slowest way to gather essence in the game. Each tree has a set amount that you can gather from it. This one, I believe, has 20. Yeah, once you get it, you'll get a little confirmation. Seemingly, we didn't actually go very far from where we got accosted by the Dreamers. I should probably actually get some soul. My bar is empty. How did that happen? Maybe it's a dream thing. See, this is what I was talking about. I don't think you ever actually find Cornifer in person here. He leaves this little calling card by the bench. Or maybe if you, like, immediately go to this room, he's here or something, and I dallied too much. Hard to say. Anyway, before we explore further, it would be a good idea to go and get that map. With a very conveniently placed stag station, there's no reason not to. Now, here is one of the Dream Nail's more interesting functions. You can read thoughts if you hit somebody with it. It doesn't actually hurt them at all. It's a little bit like Mind Read from Golden Sun. Greta has issues. It's perhaps slightly intrusive.
Bapanada.
Zelda now sells 2 new pins. The Whispering Root pin, which will show the location of any of those special essence roots that we found, and the Warrior's Grave pin, which is arguably more useful because that's the real way that you get soul. Oh, while we're here,
Oh, whoopa. Patamos, Gio.
Sly now sells a couple extra things. Another mask shard, another vessel fragment, an elegant key, and the heavy blow charm. This increases stagger by quite a bit. For now I'm going to save my Geo, because I don't have that much. And with that delivered, we can be on our way. Back to the resting grounds. We have a map now, which is always helpful. You can also tell that a whispering route has been completed because it grows for some reason. Now this is a sort of terrifying place. It's full of crumbling floors and slightly off-putting noises. They come from these guys, which are actually not very threatening. They just sort of crawl towards you, and then they explode. There are a lot of hidden passages in this area. Ah! You want to kill these guys just to get some peace and quiet, honestly. The only thing that makes them at all dangerous is that they do 2 points of contact damage when they charge you, so it doesn't pay to get impatient. More money, and also more hidden floors and walls. This secret area is quite extensive and quite annoying. Yet. Oh, come on! I was on that wall. Alright, this will require a bit of finesse. Actually, it might be better to backtrack for now so I don't die. That would be annoying. Very annoying indeed. Very helpful bench here to refill my health and give me a checkpoint. And this lady.
Nama la mehon. Nama la mehon.
We will do this side quest a little bit later. Because it kinda sucks. And we haven't even gone to the area where she wants us to go yet. Like, it's not even on the map. We will have to return later. Get fucked. Oh, come on. As you can see, taking damage destroyed the flower. She says it's a sacred rare object, but I think you can try as many times as you want. In this snail-shaped area, we find the Soul Eater charm, which I believe is an improved version of the Soul Catcher charm. I also keep forgetting to check my charm layout, so I'm going to head back to the bench real quick. I won't pick up another flower just yet, though. That would just be a waste of time. Let's see what we've gotten since the last time. Steady Body, Lightfoot Heart, Johnny's Blessing, Fury of the Fallen. I could equip Dashmaster now that I think of it. Yeah, this greatly increases the amount of soul gained when striking an enemy with the nail. Pretty useful in some circumstances. For now, let's go with the Shaman Stone. Is there something worth one I can put on? Steady Body, maybe? That'll do for now. This will greatly increase the power of our spells, which are already pretty powerful. Once I actually have some soul to show it off, I will show it off. This heads us back up to where we were, but that's not quite where we want to be just yet. We still haven't explored the left-hand side of this place. Sometimes the squeals of the shriek bats can tip you off to a secret area. Should have kept a long nail. Oh, never mind, I can do this. Ah! There's a lot of them here. Our reward is a Hallownest seal, so that was mostly just a lot of geo, but given that we just gave Sly the shopkeeper's key and he has new stock, it's pretty useful. Actually, we should see where that elevator goes. I believe this might have been the shaft I was thinking of earlier that has secrets in it. Because you can actually wall jump up quite a ways. But I think you need an upgrade first. This is yet another way into the City of Tears. An entirely new area, by the looks of it. Getting to the resting grounds can be kind of overwhelming because it opens up a lot of areas. However, what I will say is that we are not quite equipped yet to deal with most of them, so we should head back. I believe I honestly kind of did things out of order. Once again, poor sense of direction gets the better of me. Now, these guys are huge fuckers. They're enormous, they hit hard, and they have shields. Fortunately, this guy sort of has a cheesing strategy. you just sort of lure him to this ledge, then back away. And then when he turns around, ow! When he turns around, you can hit him. Or you can get hit. They are not easy opponents. You sort of have to get him to attack while you're fairly close by, so you have an opportunity to hit him. Magic is probably the way to go, but even with my Shaman Stone on, this guy is taking forever to kill. Jumping on him is sort of a strategy, but as you can see, he raises his shield and he can also swing upwards like that. So, slow and steady wins the race. Would you fucking die? Everything sucks. I'm getting a little impatient, honestly. They're very quick with their shields too, so it's difficult to actually get openings in. Finally! As usual, there are many ways to explore. This is the Blue Lake. It's a lake and it's blue. It doesn't kill you when you swim in it, so that's something. It seems like there are things you can explore here, but we currently don't have access to them because, oh, hello.
Sarana Nageno. Whoa, Sana.
What are you thinking? And here is a shortcut of sorts to Salubra's place. It's not very useful to us at the moment because if we went down there we would just fall and have no way to get back up. So back we go. To make any progress, I really need to get back to Crystal Peak and get the upgrade that's there. I think I jumped the gun going down here. I forgot which way was which. I'm sorry. And here we are. Now, we will want to interact with that grave in a minute, but I want to get some soul back first because there's a fight there. Resting on the bench by the stag station will also be a good idea, I think. Now, of course, we challenge this guy, because we can, really. These fights can be quite difficult, but they can also be fairly easy. This guy is on the easier side, I would say. Mostly you just have to watch him for when he twirls his nail. That means he's going to launch it at you and you need to move. Things get a little bit more difficult now because he has more nails. Now I'm getting my butt kicked. Help! Okay, managed to heal. We good. The extra nails make it harder to hit him without getting hit yourself. Come on. Fortunately, he's not too aggressive, so you can sort of run away and heal when you need to, without getting punished too severely. Even my upgraded nail is starting to show its age a little bit, so should be on the lookout for that pale ore that was mentioned. There we go. Now, defeating this fella gives us 100 essence, which we can then use to immediately go back and show to the Moth Seer. She requested that we gather 100, and I see no reason to deny her. For our troubles, we get a Hallownest seal. We are done for now in the Forbidden what is this place called? The Resting Grounds. I'm so good with names. For now, we want to go back to the Crystal Peak, which regrettably we didn't actually find like a stag station in, so closest is Forgotten Crossroads. Regrettably, I will probably have to stop in about 15 minutes. But until then, we can keep going. Oops, I went down too far. Again. It's no big deal, it's not like I'm pressed for time or anything. Sort of held up by the sheer number of spawny bugs that there were. That guy didn't even notice that I hit him in the head. How tragic. back in Crystal Peak. It seems that we are better served going up now than down. We have explored down, and it was quite spooky. You can't look at your map on conveyor belts, which I think is a tragedy. Well, tragedy is a little strong, but it's kind of annoying. Now, despite the fact that the Crystal Peak is a fairly large area, it's not that difficult to actually get back to where you need to be, just because there's lots of conveyors and stuff that facilitate traveling quickly. Got some more wall jump puzzles here, this time with conveyors. I actually find those to be pretty easy because the conveyors just don't move that fast and it's easier to line up a dash. Another good deed done. Couple more hits to the face taken. After a certain point, it's just taking damage to save time. I don't want to mess with these guys more than I have to. Alright, now we can rest on the bench, get our bearings. See where we haven't gone. Seems like we haven't gone down and to the right. Ergo, that's probably the way we need to go. I believe that doing this... No, it doesn't unlock a shortcut. I already unlocked it. I'm a fool. It's hard to keep track of things while you're streaming for hours on end, honestly. I still don't have much of a knack for it, but I'm trying to get better. This area can be a little bit tricky because you have to deal with the flippy platforms with the spikes. And just spikes in general. And laser crystals. Things have gotten a little bit messy down here. Now you have to deal with all three at once. And to make matters worse, against the background it can actually be kind of hard to see when the lasers are even going. I guess I wouldn't say it's a mistake in visual design because it's good to have a cohesive color scheme, but also they could have done a better job making it a little bit more visible. Anyway, this is what we came down here for, the Crystal Heart. It's a little bit like a speed booster, except it's much more easy to activate. You just hold down a button, and then you go flying. Of course, it doesn't improve your walking speed, so it's less flexible. As one might expect, this opens up quite a few paths, such as this one up here. Should go check in with Grubfather next time. Now, there are a couple of things that we can get and go to. Just have to get by the crushers again. This is probably the hardest part of the Crystal Peaks to navigate because crushers are just kind of a pain. You always have to take some time and wait. Unless you're like Gosu times 500, which I am not. You can also use the Super Dash as just a method of traversing the area, but it's kind of hard to do that. It's difficult to control. And you might just end up flying straight into the face of an enemy, which hurts. And it doesn't hurt them for some reason. You'd think that that the knight going at like 500 miles an hour would hurt at least a little bit, but no such luck. We saw this area briefly the first time we went down into the resting grounds, and we couldn't really get to it. Now we can. It requires the Desolate Dive. Crystallized... oh, Jesus. Can be quite difficult because, as you might have noticed, the flying crystal bugs are capable of triggering the flippy platforms with their spikes. And that's no good. That is very scary. Would you fucking move? Ah, Jesus. After a while, you just have to accept damage. Otherwise, it just takes too long. Come on. This is much more difficult than the Ancestral Mound was. There's just much more in the way of hazards. And enemies, honestly. The nice thing is that stepping on a trap, on a flippy trap, does not necessarily mean that you go back to a checkpoint after taking damage. It just sort of hurts. Hello. Oh, I was trying to get you out, not shatter you. This is the first of our spell upgrades, the Descending Dark. It's basically just a more powerful version of Desolate Dive. Given that we haven't had Desolate Dive for a very long time, it seems sort of odd that we would get this so quickly. But it's nice. I'm getting juggled by spikes. But I must save my grub friends. And that seems like a pretty good place to leave off once I find a bench or something. I guess I'll just go back to the one in Crystal Peak. Just gotta head back up and we'll be good. Past the crushers, of course. Always crushers. At least it's a little bit easier going back. There we go. Getting there, getting there. I'm pretty sure I could just actually quit whenever I wanted, but I would like to have at least a fairly obvious starting place for the next session, and not just start out in the middle of nowhere. Then again, maybe it might just put me at the bench. Oh, but there's goodies. I have to get goodies first. I'm hopeless! It was really only some Geo and another rancid egg. Not very exciting, in fact, quite the opposite, but worth getting, I guess. Alright, that should just about do it for today. Thank you all for watching, both the ARAMs and this. I will try and do both again tomorrow, if time allows. It should. I don't think there's anything going on tomorrow, but I've been wrong before. Anyway, thank you for watching. I will let you all know when I stream again. And I hope you have a pleasant evening.